There's no sponsor that I use more while I'm awake than NordVPN.com/Fightful. Man, this is like the Swiss Army knife, the multi-tool of applications. It does a little bit of everything. You always get a great deal at NordVPN.com/Fightful. You can listen to your favorites abroad. You can shield your data from snoops and criminals, protect yourself on public Wi-Fi, and it works on all your devices and operating systems. It doesn't end there. Change your virtual location and then get pay-per-views at a much more affordable price, TV services at a much more affordable price. You got a password manager, a file encryption tool, threat protections, and on top of that, 24/7 tech support. So if for some reason you don't know exactly how it works, NordVPN.com/Fightful will help you learn how to do it. Check it out, NordVPN.com/Fightful.
You're muted. You're muted. Can't hear you. There you go.
What do you want me to do?
There you
to
go.
make you sleep with me?
I was
You
gonna
are an obsession.
There you go.
What now, Andrew?
I was gonna say, I mean, you couldn't spring for obsession, you cheap bastard.
did.
Jeez. All right, well, there you go. There it is. There it is. There it is. It's not bad. It's not bad.
Pretty
Not
damn
bad.
good.
It's pretty. You got a voice.
See, I grabbed
Oh,
my
you-
mic. I was like a real rock star. I was
All
going
right.
full Creed, like,
Oh.
when you are with me.
So you wrestle. You're a journalist, and now you're a singer. I mean, what can't you do?
Damn right I am.
There you
Damn
go.
right I am. What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp, welcome to Fightful. Saturday night's main event post show. We just did a watch along for the holiday stream as well. We got 5 matches, some other stuff to talk about. We've got the wonderful Andrew Baydala here. He does some great content, especially over on Twitter, does a lot of really insightful videos. You guys loved having him here last time. I loved having him here last time, and we're going to have him around a lot more regularly. Luis mentions sending your super chats, humper chats. Drew, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. You know, it's a Saturday night on Long Island for all you uneducated idiots. And yeah, I'm happy to be here. Triple H is getting physical with Kevin Owens right now, which is interesting.
Is he? Hit him with a
little
pedigree?
No, I wish. A little back and forth, a little shoving, but it's a great Saturday
Triple H
night.
hit him with the...
Yeah, kind of like a nose to nose, and then Triple H gave him a nice shove. But I don't think Triple H is supposed to be taking any sort of physicality here. But
no, guys, get in your super chats and humper chats. Drop a fruit emoji. Let us know that you all are here. Leave a thumbs up right now on FightfulSelect.com for subscribers. The Fightful Award voting is officially open. Please check that out. We will have the Fightful Awards in just a few weeks here on Fightful. Denise will be returning for that. Make sure you guys check it out. I'm so excited about it. We had thousands and thousands of ballots last year. I had a WWE talent asking me, because they filled out their ballot this week. They said, who's winning in this early topic? And I had the distinct pleasure of saying, well, you are. You're winning in this early topic so far. Very excited about that. We had a scoops thread for Saturday night's main event. We had details on SmackDown. I've got contract news.
For who?
I can't say for who. Sunday, I got contract news, a whole bunch of it. But we're here to talk Saturday night's main event.
I have 2 questions for you, my man.
Okay.
Why are we doing? What's with the fruit emojis? I'm a little concerned. We're gonna be
I
okay.
love fruit emojis. I love them. Look at that. Look.
And I didn't get it.
that.
Oh, banana. Okay. Some strawberries. Okay.
We didn't get enough fruity love here. What the hell is going on, people?
And I never got a chance to vote on this Fightful stuff, so I find this ridiculous.
I'll send you the link. I'll send you the link. Don't you
appreciate
worry. You will get the link to vote in that as well. But everybody else, Fightful, subscribe, $5 a month or $54 a year. You get access to additional podcasts. There is another post show going on right now over there, by the way. We got all that. We got pay-per-view preview shows. And quite frankly, the source of a significant amount of wrestling news every single month, Discord, all that good stuff. Just very, very excited.
A lot of your
to share
favorite
that with you guys.
podcasters subscribe to Fightful. They just don't tell you they do.
Yeah. I mean, I You know what? A lot of your favorite wrestlers do too. And what I love is they'll sign up under their shoot emails that they've been using for 20 years, which is phenomenal to me. But we had Saturday night's main event, and I think, again, we were talking off the air, Drew, not necessarily a blow your doors off show, but I think for what it needed to be, it was different than what you usually get. I thought that they embraced the nostalgia element. Let's talk a little bit about that. The different ways that things looked. Were there some things that stood out to you or some things that they should have done better?
If you're talking about nostalgia, no, I think it was off the charts. I mean, I don't know what else they could have done besides give Cody an actual winged eagle, which we'll get into.
We will get into that.
No, I mean, I thought the production was A1. WWE really does nothing that is on a lesser scale. I mean, the gorilla position, and then they had the Okerlund position. They had everything going tonight. That was the full nostalgia feel. The referees were in their old referee outfits and all that other stuff. I dig the small sets. I dig the small rampway. Made it really feel like it was back in the 80s and 90s. And again, I think WWE is just in a class of their own production.
I'm with you on the small sets. Most of these venues have video screens and video boards anyway.
Yeah.
So there's not the great need for Titantrons, and quite frankly, they don't show the matches on the Titantrons anymore.
No, and they don't need it anymore. Like the production is just so A1 that they could get away with a small LED screen, and then that's it. They just shoot it right. WWE is ahead of the game. Wait till they go to Netflix. Game over.
Yeah. So actually, a thing that I noticed that WWE does that I think AEW should do, behind their Titantrons, a lot of times they'll have individual lights, and that's to make it busier. There's not as much just black screen there, but I loved the vintage element. They need to do this for every Saturday night's main event. They used like the canvas turnbuckles instead of the new turnbuckles. The one thing that I think that they should have done, maybe have the original barricade. Actually, I like the barricades how they were, but have ring aprons instead of the LED board there. But overall, I look at that and I'm like, man, this is something WWE does so well. They contrast the imagery really well, and that's something I think AEW should work on as well. Their shows are lit well. They're slick. They're beautiful. We had the Obsession song, which I thought was really great. How they used Jesse Ventura was also very good, because when we heard that he'd be on commentary, I was like, eek.
Right.
How'd you feel about how he was used?
I think it was used perfectly. I think that's what you needed Jesse for, was just a little, minute to 90-second kind of talking about some matches here and there. And I think they played into Jesse's strengths. Jesse's that heel announcer who's going to talk about the heels, and he's going to, make fun of the faces and everything else like that. And he, called the match with the two most over people on that card. I mean, it was very easy for Jesse, and that's what they needed. They don't, you don't want to bring Jesse back and then all of a sudden he's like thrown into the fire and he doesn't know half the talent that's wrestling in the ring. So I thought it was well done.
The entranceway was so great. I love that. I liked the imagery. I liked the in-ring pyro. I thought that the nostalgia element of this was executed way better than like the old retro Raws and all that. This regime has been very keen on respecting veterans and giving them a little bit of screen time and love. Cody Rhodes had mentioned at a presser recently, Drew, that they will hand out packets to some of the younger wrestlers and be like, this is who Tito Santana is. This is who Greg the Hammer Valentine is. Greg the Hammer Valentine looking like my aunt, who plays a lot of softball, by the way.
And Jimmy Hart looks like he doesn't age.
Yeah, Jimmy Hart, man. Good God, man. He is always around. Just
speaking of legends, can I ask you a question? A lot to do was made about Hulk Hogan not being here. Do you think that was done by design? Because Jesse's first night back, you don't want to have those two, blah, blah, blah.
Yes. I don't think that Hulk Hogan was going to be anywhere near Jesse Ventura. It wouldn't surprise me if he's not, or if he's around sometime when Jesse isn't, but I don't see them in the same area.
Hogan did the ads for the next Saturday night's main event. I could see him in Texas doing something.
I could too. I could have as well. And man, a quick turnaround for that. It's like in what, a month?
Yeah. NBC wants it. That's the thing. I know you probably reported it because you report everything, but NBC calls the shots on when they get their Saturday night's main events.
Yeah. And I like the imagery. I liked when they brought it back in the 2000s as well. Like, to me, you embrace your history and the good parts of your history. And yeah, I just thought they did really good. We kicked off with Sami Zayn against Drew McIntyre. How'd you feel about this match?
I thought it was the perfect opening match. There was, when they did this whole thing on SmackDown, Drew's not a SmackDown guy. Obviously, he comes in and hits one of the Usos. I dug it. For me, it was just, this is the perfect way to get the crowd off their feet. And Drew absolutely needed a victory here if he's going to be a main event player, which I believe he will. I believe he could be part of that transfer portal where he goes to SmackDown. So we'll have to wait and see. But I dug this, and the crowd was on their feet. So.
Drew, I mean, he had that very newsworthy appearance on Busted Open. And listen, I thought that Karrion Kross was very smart about following up as well, because Karrion Kross is he's like the moral compass. He's like the evil moral compass on Raw, and he's like, shame on you all who didn't reach out to him. I can tell you, I reached out to Drew. I told him I hoped he was doing well. And I love that Drew just gets it to such an extreme degree of, okay, but he's right. All this stuff, he's right, Drew.
Yeah, there's a lot of real, I think, coming from McIntyre in that Busted Open interview that I think maybe this new regime, like you talked about, they do a fantastic job with not compromising the nostalgia. I think they're allowing these guys to and girls to get a little bit more freedom. And I think there's a lot of truth in what Drew said.
Yeah. And him saying, you stood side by side with that guy. Like, how dare you? I thought it added an awful lot. I just love it when Drew goes into the roll, and then he hits the spine buster, and then he hits a full-on Batista bomb. And by that, I mean he's falling backwards as he does it, like Batista used to. And Batista would fall backwards because his hamstrings didn't exactly stretch so well. And then he would roll through, which I loved. I thought that this match was good. I thought it was a Saturday night's main event quality match. I do wonder what these shows will mean by the quality of Raw, SmackDown, PLEs, because WWE seems very keen on keeping the PLE card length low, Drew. And I think that's greatly helped out their television shows. But now we've seen this in the past, Battle of the Belts and stuff like that. Eventually those get thrown by the wayside. Do you think they keep this important? It's on NBC proper.
Yeah, I mean, they kicked off, the first Saturday night's main event back since I want to say it was 2008 or whatever it was. And I think they did a very good job of making this a standalone and making it feel important, PLE quality. The card was loaded, yada, 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 whatever, wording you want to use for it. I agree. And I think that they will make this a big deal going forward. Do I think we see, 4 or 5 title matches on these shows? Probably not. I think we can get some major tag matches soon. I wouldn't be surprised to get The Rock working one of these eventually, not anytime soon. But I do think they'll keep them on the up and up, because I do think they want to keep NBCU happy, because that's one of their media rights partners.
And a long-term media rights partner outside the brief period of which they went to TNN Spike. They have been a great partner of WWE's for such a long time. And I know this is the type of relationship that AEW hopes to have with WBD for years to come. That way, these types of things are very common. Frank Morano says, hey, love both of your guys' takes on wrestling. I'm not a ratings guy, but I watched on Peacock. Do you think the NBC numbers will be lower than expected? I'm West Coast, and I watched it live. Thanks. No. I don't know, I don't know how that plays into things.
I think they're going to do a big number, Sean. I really do.
I do too. I think they'll do a pretty solid number. I don't know if Peacock counts into that, because I don't know if it's through their, if you watch through like the live TV with Peacock option or just live on Peacock. But I mean, I'll say this. I am not a ratings guy either, unless the numbers are so bad that you're like, oh shit, or so great that you're like, oh shit. I think that a lot of the viewership numbers, one, are just distorted as time goes on, and Nielsen is legitimately only effective for advertisers. But now with Peacock involved and Max involved and Netflix involved, Nielsen ratings mean less than ever.
Yeah, and like I hate to be the guy who said I told you so, but I've been screaming this for 4 years. I said the Nielsen ratings are, they're passé. And at the end of the day, like the future in all of sports, entertainment and professional wrestling for sure is on streaming. AEW is going to be ahead of the game with simulcasting, and WWE is already there. I mean, they're just plug and play. I mean, this was a simulcast. So I think the numbers are going to be huge. I think WWE and Peacock and NBCU are going to continue their long-term relationship. SmackDown, but we'll have to wait and see with those PLEs. I think they might be off of NBCU, but that's a conversation for another day.
We had Liv Morgan defeating Io Sky clean. Corey Brennan had heard that the color that Liv got was probably because of her nose ring. So funny enough, Fightful Select had reported internally, Raquel and Damage Control were listed as being ringside with Liv. That did not end up happening. But Liv ends up winning clean. I really like the finish where Io went for the moonsault and Liv got her feet up. Her winning clean, I think, was very important because all year long in women's titles matches, Dominic's been involved and other people have been involved, and it's just so exhausting. This was a nice change of pace. I mean, the match didn't blow my doors off or anything like that, but the finish was a nice change of pace. How'd you feel about this match?
Yeah, I mean, I think this was kind of like the MO of the event, right? The event had a lot of hype, and this match was good. It was what Liv needed, but there was nothing on this show. And, I'm jumping ahead a little bit. There was nothing on the show besides Chelsea that I was like, holy shit, but I think that this was needed for Liv. I think that, she needed that signature victory, a clean victory, like you said, and she got it. And this for me was to build towards, which they did, which WWE is very, very good at. They're building towards another Rhea and Liv match. I wouldn't be surprised if it's January 6th in a cage or some sort of stipulation, or if they hold it off for the Rumble. But that's what they did in this match, and I dug it. So
Liv winning in this fashion again, I think, is important to her reign, to her in general, because you can only be the heel in that manner so long before, like, why wouldn't an authority figure step in and do something? You know what I mean? Like,
well, don't you think the fans start to lose a little bit of like interest in it? They're like, she's gonna win by interference again,
Of course. Yeah. Frank says Nielsen is so outdated. If you look at the numbers, there are only around 100K households. So going on that metric, am I right saying the numbers are a guessing game? Trying to educate myself. Thanks. I mean, it is a representative of a very small part of the pie. There are so many more people that watch now. Even people who illegally stream things are sitting through the commercial advertising that is being bought by advertisers. So it's difficult to do that. Now, DVR numbers, I can tell you advertisers don't give a shit about the DVR numbers because they know that you are fast forwarding through those commercials. Any insight you might have on this, Andrew, or any thoughts?
I can't wait for this discourse to go away, even though it never will.
Yeah.
Truthfully, I just think it's something that a lot of people who want to flag plant and wave a banner of a certain company decide to cling to. Like, they play for these teams and they're getting a check and it's wins and losses. That drives me nuts. But no, I think the ratings argument in 2024 is done. The advertisers obviously care about what some people do and how their brands work out, but no, I think the ratings conversation and discourse is so stupid, and I don't think it's a guessing game, Frank, but I will say that there's so many different avenues of how you get to this rating and this number, especially with DVR and now with simulcasting and streaming. I just can't wait for it to go away. It's a conversation and it's something that people pay attention to that I don't get.
Joseph Morris says, I think it's a slap in the face and an insult to Liv that she busts her ass this year and won't get a WrestleMania moment, which she deserves because of Triple H's favoritism of Rhea.
How do you know that?
We don't know that yet. And also, Rhea Ripley is undeniable, my friend. Like, she is a star. I have maybe a handful of people when people that I went to school with or people that my wife knows, they'll say, do you know Cody Rhodes? And can you tell Rhea Ripley that she is hot for me? That is what everybody says. Women of all ages, 50-year-old women. Do you know Rhea? I'm like, how do you know Rhea? Instagram. They know her. She should be the 2K cover athlete. I don't think it's a slap in the face and an insult to Liv. She does bust her ass, but we'll see where that ends. Any thoughts on what she might be doing at Mania?
I mean, I'm not quite sure that this feud ends until WrestleMania. I don't know what
Yeah.
Liv would be doing. I don't know what Rhea would be doing. Like, a lot of people are talking about Rhea and Charlotte. Well, we got to get there, but I don't know. I think Liv has definitely performed very, very well, and she deserves her WrestleMania moment. And if that's what people deem like the absolute goal, then we'll see. I don't know. I don't know. But Liv has carried the division in Becky's absence with Rhea. So
Gunther defeated Damian Priest and Finn Balor in a triple threat match. I am glad they made it a triple threat match. I am ready for one more one-on-one Damian Priest Finn Balor match, and I want them to go away from one another. I want Damian Priest to head over to SmackDown in the transfer portal or something like that. How'd you feel about this one?
Yeah, this one was I like that Gunther won. I don't, I love his reign right now, but Gunther needs another credible feud. He's kind of had these one-offs, and the Priest is kind of, lingering here. And I'm with you. The Finn Balor, Damian Priest stuff, let's just move on from it. Let's please, have your grudge match and then be done. I'm over it. But Gunther, I would love to see Gunther and Punk lock up for the World Heavyweight Championship, but we'll see.
Gunther winning this match, I think, was pretty much spelled out. It was written in the stars. Priest and Balor were always going to prevent one another from becoming world champion. And to me, I think it is an appropriate setup for Priest moving on to SmackDown, especially where it is completely fresh. That man has done everything there is to do on Raw with this talent roster right now. Finn Balor needs to drop the tag team titles yesterday. They should not have had to have been booked in a rematch with the Viking Raiders. They should have already dropped those titles to the Viking Raiders,
which I think is happening. You would agree?
Yeah, I hope so, but they should have the first time, I think.
Yeah.
I didn't believe that Finn Balor had any chance of winning this match. At least with Gunther, his reign has been incredible. He looked like he was dressed to go to his fraternity's homecoming when he showed up earlier in the day, looking like he's going to run around with one of those St. Bonaventure replica belts. I bet he'd look sharp with that.
Yeah,
but I agree with Hassan. He liked the few moves that Finn and Priest did together. I just like the triple threat format in general. It's action packed. Was there anything in this match that stood out to you, or any thoughts about the direction booking wise?
I think all three of them worked their balls off, truthfully. I think that Finn and Priest had a really good, back and forth. I think that obviously Gunther's a dog. He can wrestle with just about anybody and have a good match. The direction for me, the crowd was into it. So I would say Gunther absolutely needs a new feud and something he could sink his teeth into. Will he be over on SmackDown? Maybe. It seems like they're very much teasing Cody on Raw and Gunther on SmackDown. I don't know how they get there, but I'm here for a new Gunther feud.
All the betting odds favorites over at BetOnline ended up winning tonight. Let's hear from our friends.
Whoa! You can bet on wrestling? Yeah, you can at BetOnline AG. We've given you a bunch of underdog picks over at Fightful since we started to work with BetOnline AG. But well before they were a partner, that's where we got our odds from for years. Whether it be major shows or your Continental Classics and other things like that, they always have a bunch of interesting odds for you over at BetOnline AG. But it's not just that. Payouts in minutes, high credit card acceptance, a safe and secure environment, and they've been trusted for over 25 years. They got the earliest lines, the fastest payouts, and the ability to bet on wrestling. How cool is that? If you think you know so much about this, go put your money down. Go do it. Show the world. Please bet responsibly and only bet what you can. BetOnline AG.
Sean, did anybody take Chelsea Green minus 1,000? I mean, you got to bet some heavy dough to make a little bit.
You do. Which, I mean, that's why when we give you guys 15 out of 15 on our underdog lock picks this year over on Fightful Select, you got to listen. There were no underdogs that won tonight. What is that?
You went 100% tonight?
Not 100%. I mean, I went 100% tonight for sure. But just on our underdog picks that we consider lock picks this year. 15 out of 15. My favorite thing was last year at World's End, somebody telling me I basically paid for their New Year's Eve night out by letting them know Samoa Joe was going to win the AEW title because he was a massive underdog for that. Rey Mysterio was an underdog at WrestleMania. And listen, your boy had heard about Jason Kelsey training, and I'm like, oh, Jason Kelsey, you mean the guy that was running around in a Rey Mysterio mask 2 months ago? Wonder what he's gonna do. Obviously, they're not gonna have Jason Kelsey be a part of something
you get
losing.
Football stuff. I mean, I like to throw some dollars.
Yeah, the Bengals are gonna lose. That's
Wow.
Football stuff. What's the over on how many points the Bengals are gonna give? 40. Go for that. Frank Morano says, thanks for the reply. I really appreciate it. I don't care about ratings, but I value your opinions. Frank, thank you so much for sending all these super chats and humper chats. We greatly appreciate that. We are largely publicly funded, except for, the sponsorship we get. I'm not a ratings guy. I'm familiar with plenty of it, but I'm also not that guy. And he says, I'm going to date myself. My first live event was Flair Backlund at the Omni.
Wow.
He says, that was my family vacation. I was hooked early. I'm going to look up and see when that was. Oh, my God. Flair and Backlund. I love that, though. I didn't appreciate Backlund enough when I was a kid.
You know what? I think Backlund, like the character, would work so well in today's landscape.
Bro, I do too. That was, wow. NWA title versus WWF title at the Omni in Georgia. Bob Backlund, Ric Flair, 1982.
Okay. Yeah.
The masked superstar who eventually became Axe of Demolition faced Mr. Wrestling 2. Paul Orndorff, Jimmy Snuka, Don Morocco versus Dusty Rhodes, the Freebirds versus the Wild Samoans.
So this was like a Worlds Collide type of thing?
It seems like it. And Mr. Saito versus Kevin Sullivan. You had Big John Studd, Tom Pritchard.
This was before Junior. There's no way that Vince allowed that.
Yes, it was before Junior, before Vince Jr.
Okay.
Ole Anderson, Stan Hansen, Ivan Putski. What a show to be at.
It is a show.
No wonder you became a lifelong wrestling fan. My God. That is phenomenal. I love that.
That's like the Forbidden Door before the Forbidden Door.
Yeah. Sophie says, for a TV show, I thought this was really solid. All the matches were good. TV matches. Stuff was kept in the tank for PLEs and Netflix. More of this, please, WWE. Like I had mentioned earlier, I think their propensity to do smaller pay-per-view cards has allowed them to realign this a lot better. I think it's something AEW should do. I think they should be doing 7 to 8 pay-per-view matches, spreading everything out across their TV.
Yeah, WWE does a really good job of making 1 or 2 matches on Raw or SmackDown feel very important that they could have just left on a PLE, but they don't, because at the end of the day, it gets lost in the shuffle. So for me, I'm in full agreement with you guys here. I like that WWE keeps it to 5 or 6. It's a sweet spot. In, out, see ya. I love that these matches are bing, bing, bang, and we're done. I'm here for it.
Oh, boy. It's a good week to be a friend of Sean Ross Sapp's and a bad week to be an op of Sean Ross Sapp. Last night, on AEW Rampage, my close personal friend, Deonna Purrazzo, of whom either she is number one most all-time interviewed at Fightful, or her lovely husband, Steve Macklin, is number one. They're 1 and 2.
Crazy
They're
Steve?
like in a race. Huh?
Crazy Steve?
No, Steve Macklin. Just Steve Macklin of TNA.
Got it.
Defeated Shaza McKenzie in 90 seconds flat. Shaza, who beat me in a Berwyn Street fight last year.
The hell is that?
It's a sham is what it is. That's what it is.
I laid that up where I was hoping.
My close personal friend, Chelsea Green, of who I've also interviewed a number of times, also has a lovely husband who I adore, personally, professionally, defeated Michin for the United States Championship. Let this be a lesson to you guys. Don't fuck with me, okay? Don't fuck with me. Because I have people that will come for you. As Love for Boost says, didn't realize you were here, so I'll say it here too. SRS is out here hiring hitmen, aka stooges, to do his dirty work. You're damn right I am.
You are really leaning into this one.
Chelsea, I mean, they call each other the Stooges, like, because
Oh,
people
do they?
use them of leaking shit to me.
Oh, yeah. Because Chelsea's going to jeopardize everything she has by doing it.
Yeah, Chelsea and Deanna are going to jeopardize everything they had. People used to blame like Shane Helms for that too, because we did a podcast together. And I was like, do you know what he'd say if I asked him for news about his job?
Yeah, he'd
tell
be
me
like,
to go fuck myself.
yeah, I'm not trying to get fired, dude.
So after I'm done patting myself on the back, Andrew. I want your thoughts on Chelsea Green emerging victorious tonight.
Yeah, I thought it would go to Bayley before SmackDown hit the air on Friday. I thought Bayley and I want to say it was Tiff that I thought would be in the finals, but I was very pleasantly surprised about what happened. I like Chelsea Green winning. Chelsea has absolutely worked her tail off. She deserves this moment. I know it's an overused, saying in the business, but she absolutely deserves it. Her character, work, and everything else that she does, she is one of the best, if not the best, in WWE in terms of just the way that she got this character over and the way that she has bought in and made everybody either love or hate her. And that's what you need as a wrestler. You need them to react either positively or negatively. And she has them reacting. So good for her.
The finish of this was phenomenal. I just want to say I have tried to do this move as a shoot to my wife about 100,000 times. The move doesn't work as a shoot. I'm sorry. But it's a difficult move to do. She has done it backwards before. Chelsea has on accident because it's not easy to get done. But she did a flipping version, which she was saving for a big moment. And this is a big moment. And all kidding aside, like I have such a great respect for Michin. These are two women who got fired by WWE after not being given a real opportunity. People forget Chelsea Green and Deanna were both parked for a year at a time under the Triple H regime in NXT. They were sat on the sidelines. They both all these people got fired and they didn't pack it in and go do something else. They worked their asses off. They spent their time in TNA and they got brought back. And I have criticized WWE, especially for not developing underneath feuds for their women. And I do fear that they'll still do that with this U.S. and Intercontinental title, because a lot of times you'll see people challenge for the world title off of losses. But Chelsea Green and Michin and the story that they had earlier this fall, Andrew, the dumpster match, I think it forced their hand and made them go, okay, well, we don't see Chelsea winning the world title right now, but we got to give them something because it is the right thing to do. And I do think it is. I don't think there are too many titles in this situation. They should have a mid-card title, and I'm fine with that, but they got to develop contenders.
I don't mind the mid-card stuff. At first, I was kind of like, but you know what? I think you're 100% right. I think with this opportunity, I think, they could have went with the established vet to gain some, mileage on it and then pass the equity to somebody like a Chelsea Green or somebody who needs it. They went completely different. And I think it was the right way to go because I think Chelsea has so much momentum. I was waiting for Piper to drop Chelsea and I was like, when is this going to happen? It's not going to happen. I'm happy they didn't do it, but I think that's in the tank and I think that'll happen soon as well. And Piper's another one. She deserves a run with some sort of championship. So we'll have to wait and see, but I'm very excited for Chelsea.
And I like that. I mean, I like that it was these two women in the finals because they were the two that sort of forced each other's hand. And I think it's smart booking because what they feuded for before was basically our entertainment. Like that, they didn't have stakes applied to it. Neither one was going to become the world champion here, even though I think they're both capable of doing so. And Michin won that feud. But then Chelsea comes along when there were stakes there and she wins it, which now Michin can say, yeah, you got me that time, but I got you a lot of other times. Now, when you mentioned Bayley possibly being champion, I think that is very reminiscent of like the TNT title and how they put it on Cody, and you viewed the TNT title as a top title because of that. Bayley, if you would put it on Bayley, it does always have that aura of, well, it can be a top title. Because with Cody and the TNT belt, it was like, well, the only reason he's not world champion is because he can't be. He's not allowed to be. And with Bayley, we know that she is one of the most decorated champions in WWE history. So,
Yeah, and Tony Khan talked about that numerous times, how the TNT title should be viewed right up there with the AW World title. So you're right. I just, Bayley didn't have anything going for her after she dropped the championship. And I thought to myself that could be the belt, the time and the place for her. But hey, I'm happy for Chelsea. And again, do you think that Chelsea and Piper are on a collision course? Am I crazy to think that?
If they are, boy, do they need more tag teams, because that tag team division is in very rough shape. Jade is hurt. They just don't have a lot. They released Indy. So I'm like, clearly Nia and Tiffany are set up to face each other at WrestleMania. Like, that seems pretty evident to me, unless Charlotte rolls in there and does something. They need to restock in that regard. They don't ever put Alba and Isla on TV. Katana and Caden are there as fodder. So, I mean, Chelsea is the U.S. champion, though. So,
yeah.
I mean, she won't be factored into that.
Yeah.
Frank says, I got the program. Dusty Rhodes used Eye of the Tiger. That is so cool. Like, I would love to hear people's first wrestling show that they've been to. And
I was 1996.
We track them on, what is it?
96.
96.
Survivor
What was
Series, Madison Square Garden?
Really? So you see The Rock's debut?
I do. I have the ticket stub. I have 2 programs. Yeah. And then I went to my second was the Holiday Hell Tour at the Nassau Coliseum on Long Island.
I mean, more importantly, you saw Marty Jannetty wrestle that night.
With Leif Cassidy.
Marty Jannetty was my favorite wrestler back then.
Really?
Yeah. What was the year that you went to Nassau?
96, the Holiday Hell Tour. I want to say it was Sid and Foley for the title, and Brett took on Sean. Or Austin took on Sean.
I'm going to find this card. I love doing this. I love finding people's...
Here, hold on. Let me see if I could remember it, okay? I want to say it was Sid and Mankind for the WWF title. I want to say
it was December 27th. Yeah.
I want to say it was Brett and Sean. Or no, Brett and Austin. I'm going to go... Oh, no. I'm sorry. Sean and Austin.
You're right. Double count out.
And then I'm going to say Brett took on Taker.
Boy, here's a wild one. Oh, no, never mind. It's not. Was Brett there? Brett wasn't on this show.
So Taker and Vader then.
Yep. DQ.
Okay. All right. I don't know the other matches.
You got Goldust Jake Roberts.
Okay.
Farouk Savio Vega. Ahmed Johnson against Crush. Hunter Hearst Helmsley and Mark Marrow. Okay. Here's one that was interesting. Bart Gunn and the Godwins beat JBL, then Bradshaw, Owen Hart and the Bulldog. And then you had Doug Furness and Philip LaFawn beating the fake Diesel and Razor.
Okay, so no Brett. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
My first live show wasn't until I was an adult, and I went. It was the Piggy James episode of SmackDown.
Oh, okay. Yeah. God bless my dad. He hated wrestling, but he took me. So thanks. Appreciate that, Dad.
Oh, man. Guys, get in your super chats. Get in your humper chats. A reminder, the Fightful Select Awards voting is open now. Well, it happened. It technically happened, Drew. Well, you know what? Words can't do it justice. I just want to say this. Am I happy they did this? Yes, I'm happy technically that they brought back the Winged Eagle Championship. However, I got no less, including from you, no less than 6 text messages from people watching this, and they said, oh, they got him a replica.
Yeah.
Now listen. He is the top merch seller on Fanatics for WWE. Listen, you can legitimately go buy one of these right now. But Drew, you're as you mentioned, why not go all out?
Yeah. I mean, listen, I know that, Reggie Parks is no longer with us, but I think Milliken is, and he can make these, right? So, I mean,
anybody could make them. There's got to be somebody. There can't just be 2 people.
I know Conrad's got a couple of them. You could have hit up Conrad and say, "Hey, Conrad, can I get one of these, please?"
Conrad would have done it in a heartbeat.
I know. When he came out with it, My son is a huge Cody fan. I mean, and he didn't notice, but I thought to myself, dude,
Yeah.
that's the belt dad has downstairs that he was gifted, 20 years ago or however many years ago from one of his buddies. You can go down and grab it off the wall. I mean, don't get me wrong. They put it on a real leather strap. But I mean, it was replica from the jump. And for me, it's the little things where I'm like, I love that they did this too, Sean, but you could have went all out for this. You really could have.
They are now selling signed Cody Rhodes Winged Eagle title belts on Fanatics, on WWE Shop.
Dude, they don't miss. You
700
know this. They don't miss
Huh?
with this. They don't miss with this stuff. As
Yeah,
soon as the
yes.
event's over, it's signed. There's merch exclusive to the event. You know this. They don't miss.
$700. I got to say, honestly, pretty good price for that. All things considered.
His meet and greets are like $250.
Yeah. So here's a funny story. He and his team invited me out to cover the documentary premiere last year, and they gave us swag bags. And towards the end of the night, I noticed Cardona like collecting all the extra ones. I was like, what's he doing? It wasn't until I got to my hotel room, I realized Cody slipped signed 8x10s in there. And I'm like, oh, that son of a bitch, Cardona. He was selling all the stuff on Whatnot.
Yeah.
Next
I mean,
day.
yeah. I mean, it's crazy what some of that stuff fetches. It's wild.
Cardona's a brilliant man. Tin Ruza says using a WWE replica was funny. Sucked, though. Yeah. Crew Kid says, I was at the show, and my God, the Winged Eagle looks so right on Cody. It does. It does. And John Wick says the Winged Eagle belt needs to be official. That's what a title is supposed to look like. I'm with you. Drew, we both understand the business value of the WWE logo title. And even they basically brought back the big gold and made it less extravagant and threw a WWE logo in the middle of it. To me, I don't see why they're not sending that big gold out to people. But I hope that on Saturday night's main event, this is the common thing. I hope when we see the tag titles on next month's show, they bring back the old tag titles. Gunther should have had the big gold out there as well. I want the classic championships. Have one of the ladies championship from the 80s. Bring them all back. I would love to see a couple people compete for the $1 million championship or something like that. I think that'd be cool. Like, are there any that stand out to you and you're like, man, that'd be kind of cool to see?
I would love to see that. Truthfully, I'd love to see the old IC title back. I mean, I loved when Cody brought it back and they kept it. Don't get me wrong. I'm a sucker for nostalgia. I would love to see the Winged Eagle back permanently, but you know it and I know it's never happening. The WWE logo is front and center when they send it off to teams, and that's how they market it. And that's what they want. They want their logo front and center, and the logo on the Winged Eagle is almost invisible. So what I will say is I like Sean's idea here. We want to do it for Saturday night's main event. Yeah, we can go into a time warp, and we could do the smaller stages and the red, white, and blue ropes and the old referee outfits, and let's get the old championships back. I'm here for it.
Loved the old referee outfits as well. I mean, Saturday night's main event ran from 85 to like 92, and nobody really has any emotional attachment to the title belt that existed before the Winged Eagle. Like Hogan had it for a number of years, but like nobody romanticizes that title. The Winged Eagle is perhaps one of the most perfect looking championships in existence. And I mean all of sports. I think it's one of the best looking things ever.
It's on my wall in my basement next to Brett and Sean's pictures with that are autographed. So yeah, I'm here for it. I'm 100.
It looks incredible. It's the perfect championship belt in my opinion. And I know that it meant something to Cody because he's told me it's meant something to him. I also know that a bunch of talent had pushed for belts that are more like that in general. That's why the tag team belts that DIY have look so reminiscent of the old ones. I want to see them popping up with the old championships on Saturday night's main event. Just make it a fun Saturday night main event thing. And it also gives these talent an excuse to get those replicas and put them up in their offices as well, which I love.
Well, and they're going to sell a bunch of them. They continue to sell them anyway to the belt, people, but this will be something where the casuals, and not even the casuals, the regular fan base, like my son or whoever else is going to ask for that for Christmas or whatever else. It's smart marketing. I could see the secondary championships flipping to these like designs, the Intercontinental, and I'm talking permanently, the Intercontinental, the United States Championship, where it's not so logo specific, I could absolutely see that. I mean, the Intercontinental Championship barely has a WWE logo on it.
Yeah. And I mean, I know that the United States title wasn't a Saturday night's main event thing, but like the NWA United States title to me is one of the best looking championship belts
absolutely
of all time as well. I would love to see that. We've got some super chats, humper chats. Vin says, does Bayley need a better theme song if she's going to continue as an upper tier babyface? I think anybody that has "oh" at the end of their theme needs a new theme. I think anybody that has "it's damage control" or something like that, if the themes are so uninspired that you have to have someone proclaiming something at the beginning, then you should consider coming up with something better. You don't have to, but consider it.
Look at how many people are now reinvested in Shinsuke Nakamura because of the production, the music, everything is just completely different and it's working.
Jay Miller says, hopefully Chelsea gets some PLE treatment besides Mania. I hope so too, but she has proven herself as a very valuable performer. Anthony Velasquez says, my first wrestling show was Raw, where Jericho turned on HBK when he threw him into the TV screen.
I was there
on the highlight reel. You were there for that.
I was there for that one too. Yeah, they broke the Geritron or whatever it was, and Sean had glass in his eye. Yeah.
Oh my God, what a show that was.
When was that? 07?
I think it was 08, I believe.
08?
Somewhere around that. I don't know if Luis could pull up the card for a couple of these that we've got people talking about. Cogged CG says, I know I'm late on this. My first live show was as an adult too. I went to the December 30th, 22 SmackDown where Ricochet accidentally busted open Gunther and Roman Sami fought KO Cena in Tampa. Oh, that's when Cena squeezed in that match.
Oh, that match. To have a match in every year. Yeah.
So I mean, listen, people will get really weird about this, but I had a person on the WWE creative team say, did you know that your tweet brought this to our attention? And I'm like, what do you mean? They said you had tweeted that this would be the first calendar year that John Cena didn't have a match. And we brought that up. And they're like, well, maybe he'll do the match.
We got to fix this like now.
Yeah, they told him that. And he's like, hell yeah, let me get in there and do this match. And I felt very accomplished in that moment. But
obviously not my first, Sean, but I will tell you, and I want yours on this as well. My most memorable event that I've ever been to, and people be like, oh, the WrestleManias that you've been to and that you worked. No, they're not. I would say that my two most memorable events are the ECW one night stand shows, both of them from Hammerstein.
Oh,
unbelievable.
So
unbelievable. What about you? What's one that sticks out? Or
Mike
two?
Awesome and Masato Tanaka. Oh, what an insane match.
Dude, the Mysterio Sabu match is very underrated on that card because of everything that happened with John and RVD, but that match was unbelievable.
So one that stands out to me, this always happens on my vacations and honeymoons. There always happen to be like wrestling around them. Told my wife we could go anywhere in the world she wanted on our honeymoon because we had to delay it because Fightful was launching. All that woman wanted to do was to go to Harry Potter World. That's it. Okay. She was a Harry Potter geek. So I booked us a trip. We went to Universal, all that stuff. But it was the week of the hurricane. And an NXT show got delayed by a day, and we were there. And my wife was like, why aren't we going to it? Why aren't we going to this show? And I was like, okay, makes our trip tax deductible. Why not?
You married a good woman.
Yeah, wonderful woman. And Johnny Gargano versus Andrade Cien Almas was there. And oh my God, it was such an unbelievable match. And it was the first time I had seen Leo Rush in person. And in that moment, the first time I saw Leo Rush, I thought this guy is every bit as good in the ring as Rey Mysterio. And I thought that he was headed for that trajectory. Unfortunately, some things slowed that down, but that was one that stood out to me. And for certain, Hangman and Omega against the Young Bucks, that was incredible. And Sting's last match, getting to see that was an honor.
Yeah, I wasn't there for that one. I wish I was.
Well, we read those. Phil says, Proud of Chelsea becoming champion. She deserves this as the most confident Gunther's looked in a while. Intrigued to see where his reign goes from here. I want the Winged Eagle title. Man, I got to admit, it's got me being like, do I want that? Like the belts I have, that's one I want on an indie. That's one I want on an indie. That's one that Jimmy sent to me. And that is an engagement gift. So I don't have any like just to have them, the $1 million belt. But I had like the little toy when I was a kid. Like that's an emotional thing. Yeah. But man, I see that Winged Eagle and I'm like, maybe I'll get one. I was given a Winged Eagle like, I don't know, 15 years ago from somebody who worked at Figures Inc., I think was the company. They gave me one, and then the nice people over at Fandu have given me a couple World Heavyweight Championships, and they're all downstairs. That is very cool. Fandu needs to hit me up then. What the hell? They gave me, it was like it's on a white strap. It's got blue like gems. Okay. It's completely like something they were like, hey, we'll think you like this. And it, people come over and watch football games in my basement. And they're like, can I pick that up? And I'm like, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. So it's a good like conversation piece, but they do really good work. They do really good work. Cody Rhodes defeated Kevin Owens. Did this surprise you? I know a lot of people were thinking Kevin should win the title and maybe Cody wins it back on the first Raw of Netflix or the Rumble. I would have been fine with that because how'd you feel though? Like Cody winning, because all that we're going to talk about the post match could have still happened even if Kevin Owens won and maybe added some emotion to it. Yeah. So I'm going to throw this back to you. How Cody won was very interesting, wasn't it, Sean? I mean, the way that by the way, Charles Robinson bumping his ass off. Yeah, for sure. For sure. But I mean, the way that Cody won was interesting to me. And I think that's, maybe some people are talking about, I haven't checked the internet yet, but Cody kind of won kind of with the chair, and it's kind of like what a heel would do. And then he gets stretchered out, whatever. The Kevin Owens thing for me, Sean, like winning the championship and then dropping it. No, keep the championship on Cody. I thought Gunther would be the one to lose the title and then we could have had something, but this didn't bother me at all. I think, there's a lot made about this, Goldberg's going to be here. No, that'll probably happen in San Antonio, if at all. And, then it was Randy. I did think Randy could have played a factor into this match, and he didn't. So it's interesting. We'll have to wait and see. But I'm happy Cody retained. You know what it reminds me of? The type of match that Hulk Hogan would win on Saturday night's main event is what it reminds me of. That's true. That's very true. Because Hulk Hogan was the most son of a bitch, heel and ass babyface I ever saw. Like back raking and eye pokes and cheating all the time. Hogan cheated his ass off. Yeah, hit somebody with a quick chair and then throws it out of the ring and then gets the cover and the crowd explodes. Yeah, I'm with you. That's a good analogy. I like that. All the time. Cool Kid says my first live event was Raw, April 12th, 2004, when he was 14. Man, I know exactly the Raw you're talking about. Benoit, Foley, Michaels, and Shelton against Evolution, I bet. I bet that was the night of that. And I remember Kane beat up Grandmaster Sexay on that. How the hell do you know this off the top of your head? I would tape, and then while I worked and wrote, would just rewatch Raw throughout the week. I probably watched every episode of Raw 5 times during that period. Like I didn't have anything for it. And Connor says my first live show was Backlash 2017, Nakamura's main roster debut, and then the main event. Well, buddy, that era, not so great. Is that the one with Styles on the that was where Jinder Mahal won the world championship. A lot of people are gonna hate me for this, but underrated champion. Oh God, come on. I think he's a wonderful guy, but no way. Here's one for you that I remember. The Welcoming Committee. Do you remember that group? I do, yes. They were on that show. Sami Zayn against Baron Corbin. Okay. You had Kevin Owens against AJ, and then Luke Harper versus Eric Rowan. Ooh, okay. And Usos versus Breezango. I like Breezango. Obviously, the Usos are who the Usos are, so. Mr. D says, what if KO walks around with a Winged Eagle belt saying he's the real champion because he was robbed? Well, Sean, he did walk away
with the championship at the end of Saturday night's main event.
I love it, Mr. D. So here's what happened. Kevin Owens, you guys can see a wonderful video by my friend Andrea. It's at Andrea the Coolest, Andria, where Kevin Owens hit a package pile driver. He had told me he was waiting for the right moment to do that. I believe that was the right moment. And if that's the direction they're going, which Kevin Owens got into it with Triple H, and I mean like a little pushing, shoving. Oh boy, I love it. To me, this has been the best thing of Cody Rhodes' reign since he won.
Well, you know why, Sean? Because he's getting a few to sink his teeth into with somebody. Because it's very much like, let's have I think I'm better than you, and you think you're better than me. Let's have a match. This is different. We actually have two people who give a shit, who want to beat each other. They're friends, blah, blah, blah. I want to ask you this, though. You know, WWE is kind of paying off some of these storylines. This is the second time with Kevin and Cody off the show. Now, a younger demographic who's not on social media won't see this, but WWE will do a good job of putting that on their television, I'm sure, next week or whatever. But do you think that this is something they should maybe, and I know they want people to follow the socials, but is this something they should get on their television?
Yeah, I kind of think so, but I know why they're doing this. Because they had a double taping last night and they couldn't tape anything with Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens for next week because it would give away the results. So what they'll do is they will show this on WWE TV and they'll have a backstage with Kevin Owens. That's why they're doing this.
Yep. And that's when I found out they were doing a double taping. I said to my buddy, I was like, hey, if there's any sort of like Randy Orton sighting or whatever, let me know, because how would they play off a segment tonight and not play it off with Randy on a show that's already been taped? So I agree with you. It's very interesting. It was smart on them, though. Very smart.
Vin says Triple H breaking another Vince rule, getting physical with KO, which teases a match that will never be delivered on. Yeah, but he didn't like hit him with a pedigree or hit him with the SmackDown versus Raw 07 hot tag that everybody does in their kitchen. Like, he isn't doing one of those.
He could be a referee on the Netflix episode. KO versus, you know.
I think that's a brilliant idea.
Yeah,
I think
Triple H could be a ref. He could be a ref.
And John says, thoughts on the scuffle between Triple H and Owens post-show? Do you think Triple H, given his trust of KO, might risk a retirement match with him at Mania? I don't. I think that he left his boots in the ring, and I think that is about it. And listen, I wouldn't like push, promote, or wish that on anybody because I want Triple H to live a long, healthy life. Like that's the thing, and that can be unpredictable. Now, granted, I'll say this: Triple H's doctors know a hell of a lot more than I do. So if they feel like they can do that, that's okay, and more power to them. I will watch it and hopefully enjoy it. I'm not counting on it though.
No, I think WrestleMania 38, you saw the last appearance by Vince McMahon in the WWE ring, and I think you saw the last appearance of Triple H in that capacity in a ring. He laid his boots in the ring. I think it's done. I think Triple H knows exactly where his bread is buttered now, and he's got 3 kids. He probably wants to see the rest of his life, so I don't think it's a good idea for him to jump in the ring. But like Sean said, his doctors know more than us.
John, actually, Cog says, I think Cody could have lost and won it back at the Raw Netflix show. I do too. Says, anyway, maybe in line for a heel run with callbacks to this rivalry could be useful. I have long said that one of my favorite eras of AEW is when so much of the top talent on a monthly basis, you would go, are they right or are they wrong? Are they like, where are we here? And so much of WWE right now that they're cooking, you've got Bloodline, and you're like, man, I love them. But they were assholes for a very long time, and you can understand why Drew would hate them. Understand why that would drive Kevin Owens crazy. You could also understand why Sami Zayn would want to accept them. It makes you feel something. It makes you go, who's the one that's in the right here? And I think that's something that AEW could really benefit from there.
Yeah, I like exactly, that type of scenario where you're like, hey, you want to know what? Maybe these guys are right. Maybe these other guys are not right. Maybe they are really bad guys or whatever the case may be. Why is everybody so hung up on Cody losing? Like, does it change thing for everybody? Because I think that people are just either with the title run or they're not with the title run.
Listen, he could lose the title at Raw on Netflix or at the next Saturday night's main event and then win it back at the Rumble. That could still happen as well. I think that Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes are probably facing each other 2 or 3 more times.
Yeah,
throughout
I
this
think that's.
situation.
I think we're headed to the Royal Rumble with this feud. It's very interesting. But we'll have to wait and see. I just don't. I don't understand the people of. Yeah, I think he should have dropped the championship. Okay, for what though? For a month? Is
Yeah.
that really going to change how you view Cody?
Cog says that SmackDown had a good card. Samantha was awesome. MC for the live crowd. That's a thing a lot of people don't realize that ring announcers do. They MC the actual show. He says, lost my voice, then went to my first AEW show at Dynamite 200 in 2023. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Philip Emo says, my first show, I was 12 at SmackDown in November 2005. It was 2 weeks before Eddie passed. It was Eddie versus Eddie and Batista versus Eminem at the Staples Center, and it was taped on a Sunday. I completely forgot that they taped that on a Sunday. Oh my gosh. I don't remember that at all.
That's a good one because I think Eddie's last match happened, 2 days before he passed at a house show. So
Yeah, I mean, there's a chance. Like, where was it? Let me see that. No, they filmed it. It was, Eminem versus Batista and Eddie Guerrero. What else was on that show? Matt Hardy and Ray versus Christian and JBL. How about this to be on that show? Roddy Piper versus Bob Orton.
this is what, 05?
05.
Okay,
05.
yeah.
Batista beating Guerrero and Orton in a dark match. Kennedy over Scotty 2 Hottie. Lashley beat the FBI. And Benoit over Booker T.
So Piper and Orton were back due to the Mr. America thing, right?
No, that was
guess.
years ago. That was years
Was
ago.
it?
Yeah, I think Randy Orton was doing his Legend Killer thing at that point.
Got it.
And was probably back into that.
Got it.
Jared says Finn needs to start brothering backstage. Tired of him taking pins. Wish he would take some in the tag title match. That's for damn sure. We got
speaking of brothering, was Styles in TNA? I didn't catch any of that. I know there was a lot of rumor and innuendo.
He was just there backstage, just hanging
got
out.
it. He didn't show up on screen.
No.
Okay.
We got a couple more super chats before we wrap up. Vince's first live show, November 1987. The show was main evented by Savage, Honky Tonk Man, and a beautiful Bulldogs versus Hearts co-main. It says, at the age of 7, I loved the Bulldogs. My God. The Honky Tonk Man, though. Boy, did he ever suck. You want to talk about an overrated ass wrestler. The Honky Tonk Man. Few things made me happier than when Gunther just completely dominated his title reign and sent it out to dry. Just eviscerated that title reign. But
you know who doesn't suck?
Who?
Who I got the pleasure of watching one of his return matches in WWE. I went to school in Providence. That's where I went to college.
Okay.
Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. I saw him and Jericho at Backlash at the Dunkin' Donut Center. And it was, let me tell you, even at Ricky's age, the man could still go.
Oh, yeah. I remember that run. He started to work live events and stuff, too.
Yeah.
So
I had never seen Ricky wrestle live, and I got to, and I was blown away.
A lot of people don't realize Randy Savage and Honky Tonk Man worked each other over 100 times. That was their go-to.
That was like the B house show towns, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Love for Boostas went to Raw as a kid, but it was a house show on a Tuesday. That's why they were so cheap. And then finally went to a real show in Austin, was injured. Could have used your reporting back then. Oh, that was so when I was a little kid, I would go to Reds games and I would have no idea who I was missing because I wasn't checking the injury reports then. Then I'd get there and Barry Larkin would be out. And I was like, no.
Yeah. Yeah. The internet, that was the same thing.
Guys, I want to thank you all so much for sending all your super chats, humper chats. Please subscribe to FightfulSelect.com. Best $5 in the business, and the Fightful Award voting is up now. I am so excited about this. But Drew, tell the people where they can find you and check out all you're doing.
It's all right there. That's my @ on X. I don't, I post videos. I don't have a YouTube. I don't have any of that stuff. I'm here, a man of the people, like to give you stuff for free. And I give my thoughts and opinions on the professional wrestling industry that we all love to cover. Sean's the man for everything else. And that whole Fightful crew, they do a wonderful job. Sean, I'm going to put you on the spot here, though. Main event, San Antonio, Texas.
Ooh.
Saturday night's main event. What's it going to be? Cody going to defend again? Or are we going to get a tag match? What if you had to?
Yeah, I think it'll be Cody and I think it's gonna be Cody and Kevin Owens again.
Okay, I don't hate it. Some sort of stipulation, though, right?
Yeah,
All right.
yeah, I
like
think so. A no DQ would be, which I mean, it's on NBC, so maybe it won't be, but it would make an awful lot of sense. But I will say this: that finish was very like Saturday night's main event. Very.
Yeah. Yep. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. This was a good time.
We look forward to having you again. Guys, until next time, check out my Mina Shirakawa interview that dropped today. She was wonderful. Until next time, we're out.